Hey, this is Rob Saltzman, speech language therapist, here to talk about some carryover strategies to help your students in the classroom. My hope is that students be a little bit more mindful about their speech sounds outside of their therapy time. Many times students will come, do their work inside of the speech therapy room, and then as soon as they leave the room, they are right back to their old habits. So by having an additional person provide some cues and reminders for them, hopefully we see some better generalization. By now, many of you have sat in an IEP meeting with me, and if you haven't, I'm sure you will. A lot of the times, these strategies are included in the specifically designed instruction section of an IEP. Much of it may seem like common sense, but it's definitely worth the time to review them and get familiar with them. I'm going to provide a little bit more detail of these strategies in the next few slides. Most of these strategies are included on the IEP, but you might find that some of these strategies work better with your student than others. Modeling the correct production of their error sound may not seem all that intuitive, but there's definitely something to be said about getting into the habit of exaggerating correct production of speech sounds. Furthermore, getting into the habit of providing some cues to your students during small groups can be very helpful to help them pay attention not only to what your mouth is doing, but also to the words that are coming out of your mouth. What if a dinosaur's friends come to play? Does he mope? Does he pout if he can't get his way? Does he hide all his dump trucks, refusing to share? Does he throw his friends' coloring books in the air?
Does he hog all the wings?
Does he hog all the swings? During small group or one-to-one interactions with your student, overemphasizing their error sounds in your own speech to help them be mindful is a great strategy as well. In a few more slides, I'll talk a little bit more about chaining. It may be a good idea to pair overemphasizing error sounds with chaining to have the student reattempt a word or a sentence. As you are juggling the many things that are going on at any given moment with your students, during small groups, it may be a good idea to hand your student a worksheet that you might be working on and have them take a minute or two while you're getting ready to highlight their speech sounds. If they're not quite at that level, take 30 seconds and highlight a few of their speech sounds and attempt some of those sounds as you go about your activity. This strategy is particularly good for students who have demonstrated a huge range of success for targeted speech sounds but have not yet mastered it outside of the therapy room. This might sound like, I'm going to be listening to your reading, but I'm also going to be paying attention to some of the speech sounds you've been working on. And when you become really familiar with the child's errors, you can even be more specific. Like, I'm going to be listening to those R sounds at the beginning of words. His friends get first choice for the games that they like. Some of our students respond really well to physical cues paired with speech sounds. In the example below, I point to what I might refer to as tongue scrapers on my throat to help students be mindful of their productions of the K sound or the G sound. This is quite similar to prompting your students to be mindful of their speech sounds when they're reading out loud. However, we're not going to continuously remind them, but rather pay attention to see if they are self-correcting. Chaining is a strategy to use with students on the fly during small group or one-to-one instruction. For example, if the student says, "Would you like one turn more?" Ask the student to say it again, trying to hit the word more. "Would you like one turn more?" If they can't quite get it at that sentence level, ask them to see if they can do it at the word level, more. If they still can't do it, drop down to the syllable level, or. And if they still can't do it, continue on to the level of isolation, If they can't do it at that point, just say, "Thank you for trying," and just move along. If you do find a level that they are successful at, praise their efforts and continue to move along your activity. Your assistance in helping these students to think about their speech sounds outside of the therapy room will have a lasting impact. It's up to you to create the environment to talk about students' speech sounds the same way you might help a child work through a word in decoding. We are all trying our best to understand the students who are quite difficult to understand. Just continue to do your best. Ask them to show you or say it in a different way. Try to pick out the words that you do understand and repeat back those words to them. And it's also okay to let them know that you're trying your best to understand them and that what they have to say is important. Don't forget about expressive grammar. Many times we hear our students say sentences with incorrect pronouns or incorrect subject-verb agreement. Provide models for these sentences. Ask our students to repeat back to you sentences that are spoken correctly, or focus on a particular pronoun, for example. I hope this short video helps you feel a little bit more confident in how to address your students' articulation or grammar patterns in the classroom. Feel free to talk with me about individual or specific concerns regarding your students.